Shocking secrets, the insane sex lives of ancient Roman emperors revealed at midnight. The clock struck 12, chiming like a thunderstorm rolling in. In the shadows of the Grand Colosseum, whispers swirled around tales so scandalous they could shatter reputations even beyond the grave. This was a night where secrets would crawl out of their graves, where history's most infamous figures would reveal the buried treasures of their dark desires. Roman emperors were more than just rulers, they were scandalous icons with wild, lustful lives that would make anyone's jaw drop. Take Caligula, for example, the man who turned the capital into a playground for debauchery. He'd invite the nobility to his extravagant feasts, where the air was thick with intoxication and temptation. Rumors spoke of lavish orgies under the moonlight, as sultry as a summer night. Guests engaged in acts so scandalous that even the walls of the palace would blush if they could. Was he really infamous for trying to make his horse a consul? Or was that just a cover for his more unspeakable pursuits? Then there was Nero, whose reign dripped with excess. They said his love for luxurious feasts was only outdone by his obsession with beautiful young boys. As fires consumed the outskirts of Rome, this tyrant brought his pleasures to the finest chambers, seducing each moment into an affair that lasted long after the plumes of smoke faded. But what lay beneath those bravado celebrations? Shadows of betrayal, deceit, and the stench of jealousy. In a world filled with power-hungry men, the undercurrents of seduction ran deeper than the Tiber River itself. What happened behind closed doors? Who crossed the line? What wild events unfolded that remain hidden from the pages of history? It was a dance of danger, where a single glance could mean the rise or fall of an empire. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference, let's connect. As the night deepened, a mysterious scroll found its way into the palace, revealing the most outrageous details about Emperor Elagabalus's exploits. Known for his wild parties, was he also hiding a web of forbidden love, one that could ignite a tempest of scandal? What if the secrets within that fragile parchment held the power to drag the mighty into the depths of disgrace? Intrigued and alert, one could only wonder, what lay within those fragile, ancient words? The air crackled with anticipation as the scroll was unrolled, the delicate parchment whispering secrets that could alter the course of history itself. Flickering torchlight illuminated the ornate symbols, and the once great halls of the palace were now stained with the weight of unspoken desires. Elagabalus, the boy king who broke convention with every rebellious act, had a past that clung to him like shadows in the dark. The words danced across the page, painting a sordid picture of feasts that overflowed with wine and skin. It detailed a secret affair with a high-ranking senator's wife, a liaison so dangerous that discovery would stain the emperor's pristine image and endanger him at the hands of vengeful rivals. Each stroke of the quill captured the heart-stopping thrill of rendezvous held under the cover of night, where laughter echoed between silk drapes and every heartbeat ran high with adrenaline. Outside the palace walls, the city thrummed with restless energy. The people of Rome, blissfully ignorant, swept through the market square, unaware of how the currents of power shifted silently above their heads. As Elagabalus reveled in his late-night delights, he danced on the edge of a knife. His most trusted confidants would gladly spill secrets if it meant securing their own hold on power. The night grew darker as a storm approached. Raindrops began to patter against the cobbled streets, a prelude to the turmoil that awaited. In the midst of his indulgence, the emperor sensed a tremor in the air, a shift that sent chills down his spine, as if fate itself whispered warnings. Was the scroll final proof of his impending doom? Or just another string in the elaborate tapestry of seduction and betrayal that marked his reign? Yet amid the chaos, there stood a figure cloaked in shadows, their face hidden beneath a hood that concealed more than just features. They watched as Elagabalus indulged in the pleasures of the flesh, their eyes glinting like daggers in the darkness. Who were they? An ally or a foe? The tension grew thicker, each heartbeat a reminder that secrets held in silence could break thunderous displays of power. Desire turned to dread, and the night danced with duality. Meanwhile, a fire erupted within the palace when an eager servant stumbled upon the scroll. Their eyes widened as they read the forbidden words, a gasp twisting their features. What to do with this newfound knowledge? Would they push the emperor deeper into his web or alert the factions lurking in the shadows, waiting for their moment to strike? With the storm raging and tempers flaring, Elagabalus raised his goblet for a toast, oblivious to the growing threat. To passion and power, he cried, his voice echoing through the hall. But as his revelry continued, a sharp voice cut through the merry chaos. Can you still raise a toast when the noose is tightening around your neck? The laughter faded into a haunting silence. All eyes turned fearfully towards the shadowy figure stepping into the light, their identity still obscured but their intentions clear. The air was thick with tension as realization dawned upon the gathered guests. The night held more secrets than anyone anticipated, and darkness had a way of revealing them when least expected. What shocking revelation would this stranger unleash? Would it hit the emperor like a lightning bolt, leaving him gasping for breath? Or would it send the powerful tumbling from their thrones? Whispers began to travel like a swift wind, carrying the weight of uncertainty into the hearts of every guest as fate hung in the balance. Each moment ticked by, and the tempest had only just begun. What awaited Elagabalus in this storm that brewed? As the night deepened, all eyes turned to the masked figure, and dread filled the hall. The truth was on the brink of being revealed, but would it save or condemn the emperor? The fragile balance of power trembled, poised to tip at any moment. The figure stepped into the flickering light, revealing a face hidden beneath layers of secrecy. The room shuddered with tension as gasps echoed from the throng. All were spellbound, straining to understand the identity of this spectre that now threatened Elagabalus's very reign. Who dares? Elagabalus demanded, his bravado fighting against the tightening knot in his chest. His voice was steadier than he felt, but deep down chaos roiled. The guests remained silent, eyes fixed on the figure, anxious and eager. I am the voice of retribution, the figure replied, their tone as cold as steel. They pulled back the hood, revealing the striking, fierce eyes of Celia, a woman once revered in the halls of power, now an outcast carrying secrets deep enough to bury men. You, boy king, think yourself untouchable above the law, above morality. With each word, the crowd drew closer, as if the fire crackling nearby couldn't warm their frozen disbelief. Weapons and daggers hidden beneath cloaks suddenly felt heavier, as a presence of judgment filled the air. I have come to bring you what you deserve, Celia continued, taking a step forward. Your depravity will be your end, for your seductions have tangled with those who would not forgive. Elagabalus' heart raced. This was no idle threat. He felt his blood run cold, knee-deep in the web of betrayal he had woven. You cannot frighten me. His voice rang out, but uncertainty flickered in his gaze. The hall began to buzz, whispers ricocheting off the stone walls. What did Celia know? What evidence did she hold? Suddenly, a thought struck him: the scroll that lay open upon the table, its contents ripe with danger. Did you read the scroll? Elagabalus accused, anger lacing every word. Is that what you want? My secrets exposed to the world? Oh, those secrets and more, she replied, a sly smile twisting her lips. But beware, I am not alone. She gestured to the archway behind her, and from the shadows emerged a cadre of senators, their faces grim and anticipating the coming storm. Each one bound by statements, feelings of betrayal, and a thirst for justice that Elagabalus could no longer deny. Point 1, a burly man with heavy brows, stepped forward. We've had enough of your twisted games, Elagabalus. You've played with the lives of our families, stabbed our honor in the back. Fear rushed through him. The room seemed to pulsate, the atmosphere thick like tar. He was surrounded, with escape reduced to mere illusions. You tread on dangerous ground. He boomed, attempting once more to assert his dominance, but even he could hear how shaky his voice echoed. As the senators encircled him, a small voice cut through the chaos from the back, a terrified servant, trembling but desperate to interject. I have seen things you wouldn't believe. Secrets that could shift alliances even further. Eyes darted toward the source, tension mounting. Each senator's gaze narrowed, each had something to lose, each had something to gain. Celia moved slightly closer to the trembling servant, a predator homing in on its prey, ready to pounce. With everything spiraling into chaos, Elagabalus felt the air grow thicker, carrying the scent of betrayal like the storm outside, the thunder rumbling in time with his racing heart. What did this servant know? Did they hold the key to Elagabalus's survival or his utter downfall? As the storm battered against the palace walls and thunder echoed like a drumroll of fate, the night promised to unleash not just the elements but truths that could shatter the empire itself. Could Elagabalus claw his way back from this brink? Or was the noose tightening too swiftly around his neck? As he struggled to gather a response, the world seemed to hold its breath. The servant's eyes darted back and forth, each flicker adding to Elagabalus's mounting dread. What had this innocent been privy to? A whisper of secrets that could change everything. I saw things in the shadows, the meetings, the whispers of betrayal. The servant's voice cracked, trembling like the candles flickering in the breeze. The senators leaned in, hungry for flesh and blood, their expressions a mix of anger and hunger for redemption. Elagabalus felt the weight of their gazes crush any lingering bravado. He took a step toward the servant, desperation clawing at him. What meetings? What whispers? Speak. With each pleading word, the servant's fear seemed to boil over. Your orgies, my lord. The plots against you, alliances formed in the dark, against your very throne. Gasping ripples coursed through the crowd, each gasp a dagger to his heart. Elagabalus's mind churned. Unruly thoughts gripped him. Originally a source of comfort, his extravagant lifestyle was now turning into a noose. Those he indulged with were the same who would bring him down. You lie. He shouted, his voice rising, but doubt wormed its way into the corners of his mind. For a fleeting moment, he wondered if his excessive pleasures had sown the seeds of his downfall. Celia stepped forward once more, that wretched smile still plastered on her face. Your delusion knows no bounds, young king. The empire you toy with is far older than your whims. They will rise against you, and your pleasures will stain your legacy. We will have justice. The burly senator growled, fists clenching. Elagabalus scanned the room frantically, searching for an ally amid the rising tide of betrayal. He spotted his closest guards, faces ashen, shifting nervously in the shadows. Could he still turn the tide? Did he have a sliver of power left to maneuver? He turned back, fists clenched, heart pounding like a war drum. Enough. This will not stand. I will have the truth revealed, from all of you. His breath was shallow, the words slipping between his lips with desperation. The servant recoiled, realizing the danger. But I only silence. He bellowed, the court holding its breath. The guards, those who once stood by him, exchanged wary glances, their loyalty fading like a distant echo. Your reign thrives on whispers, and now the air is thick with them. Secrets cannot stay hidden forever, Celia hissed, stepping closer still, her face inches away from his. Your kingdom is a house of cards, waiting for the slightest breeze to tumble it into the abyss. With fear flooding his veins, Elagabalus knew he needed to act. One slip, one moment of indecision, and he could lose everything. A restless energy flickered within him, igniting an ancient fire that had laid dormant. No. You won't take my throne without a fight. He yelled, his voice echoing like a crack of thunder. His eyes shifted, landing on the servant clinging to secrets that might save or doom him. What more can you tell us? A murmur swept the guests, a mix of hope and dread. The servant took a shaky breath, glancing from Elagabalus to Celia, desperation flaring. There are whispers of a plot, a name, the one who holds the power to rock your empire. Who? Elagabalus shouted, desperation sharpening his voice. but before the servant could respond, a loud crash reverberated through the chamber as the doors flew open, revealing shadows of men marching in. The atmosphere shifted, confusion swirling like smoke. Was this yet another threat, or a rescue from the encroaching nightmare? He stood teetering at the brink, knowing the answers lay just beyond the chaos. The thunder echoed louder, and one question stood out among the rest: who was the one, and could Elagabalus discover the truth before everything came crashing down? The evening had only just begun, but it promised to deliver secrets that could shift the course of history itself. The air crackled with tension as the chamber doors swung wide, framing a group of cloaked figures. They stepped forward, smooth and calculated, cutting through the whispers that hung thick as fog. Faces of fear and intrigue turned towards Elagabalus. His heart raced like a wild horse, pounding against his rib cage. Who were these intruders? Were they allies, or was betrayal marching right into his lair? State your purpose. Elagabalus demanded, his voice cracking under the weight of authority. The senators shifted uneasily, eyes darting toward the new arrivals. The tallest figure in the group pulled back his hood, revealing a striking visage that radiated a confidence he craved. "We are the Knight's guardians," he declared, his voice deep and commanding. "Sent to protect the throne from the shadows that threaten to engulf it." A rustle of concern swept through the audience. The name dripped with power, a force few dared to speak. Elagabalus felt a spark of hope, barely perceptible, but enough to fan the flames of his crumbling resolve. This could be the support he desperately needed. However, the momentary relief faded. Protect? Or threaten? He spat, narrowing his gaze. "What do you seek, and who has sent you?" The guardian stepped closer, eyes sharp as daggers. "There is a storm brewing, and you are at its eye. The one you seek, the one who plans your undoing, is drawing near." Elagabalus leaned forward, bracing himself against the polished marble table. "Tell me more," he urged, the demand tasting bitter on his tongue. "What do you know of this plot?" The guardian's expression tightened. "Information comes at a price. Your continued indulgence has made you vulnerable, your lavish lifestyle, a target for the envious." A swell of anger threatened to boil over within him. They spoke as if they knew him, as if they could judge his choices and judge his desires. Yet, somewhere deep down, a flicker of understanding surfaced. He couldn't deny the truth of their words. "What exactly do you propose I do?" "Change your ways or face the consequences," the guardian warned, as the crowd shifted restlessly around them. "You need to gather loyal allies and confront the darkness. The whispers you fear are mere echoes until they manifest into actions." The servant tugged at Elagabalus's sleeve, fear and urgency etched in his features. "But what if it's too late? The more you resist, the more they close in." Elagabalus felt the tightening knot in his chest, a turbulent storm of anxiety and rage. The walls felt like they were closing in, shadows stretching with every heartbeat. "No!" he roared, summoning a wave of defiance. "I will not be reduced to a pawn." "You already are," Celia sneered, her voice dripped with disdain. The laughter of senators followed like a wicked chorus, slicing through his resolve. With every ounce of will, Elagabalus straightened his spine. "Then I will break free of this game," he bellowed, adrenaline igniting a fierce blaze within him. "If there's a plot, let them come. I will confront them." As the words hung in the air, silence reigned. The weight of their implications weighed heavily on everyone present. Would he truly challenge the darkness, or would it swallow him whole? The guardian smiled, an eerie glint in his eyes. "That is the spirit to cling to, young king. But remember, light also casts shadows. Seek the one, and you may find both friend and foe walking side by side." A chilling wave enveloped Elagabalus, realization dawning as he grasped the catastrophic implications. The game had changed, and like a game of dice, odds could shift in an instant. "I need eyes and ears, friends I can trust." As the words left his lips, a cold wind slipped through the open door. The echoes of laughter drifted away, threatening to leave him stranded. Whoever this one was, Elagabalus had to unveil them before it was too late. And deep down, a haunting suspicion skittered through him. What if the real enemy was someone he had once called a friend? The night was young, but its secrets were brewing, and he had only just begun to peel back the layers of betrayal surrounding him. The chill in the air thickened, sinking into Elagabalus's bones as he surveyed the room. Fear had morphed into something raw and electric. The senators' faces twisted, betraying a mix of dread and curiosity. They would all wait for him to stumble, to fall into the trap they hoped would ensnare him. Each heartbeat pulsed wildly in his ears. The guardian loomed closer, shrouded in his black cloak, a specter of menace and promise. "Gather your trusted ones," he advised, his voice like gravel. Trust does not come easily in a kingdom steeped in betrayal. Elagabalus opened his mouth to protest, to claim he could handle the brewing storm alone. But doubt threatened to drown him, swallowing words. "Who can I trust?" he whispered, more to himself than the guardian. "Who among them would not thrust a dagger in my back?" "Start with your loyal household," the guardian replied, eyes unwavering. "Then uncover the one before the web entangles you further." As the cloaked figure stepped back, shadows surrounded him, merging with the darkness, leaving Elagabalus standing amidst flickering torchlight. Forces stirred to life in the depths of his mind. He could no longer bury his head in the golden sands of pleasure. He had to find his footing, and he had to find it now. Elagabalus glanced around the chamber, an electric tension snaking through him. He could still sense the weight of judging eyes, feel the sneering whispers at the back of his mind. Celia's mocking laughter echoed louder than before. Driven by impulse, he swept out of the chamber, determination surging through his veins. The corridors were dim, adorned with rich tapestries and art that had lost its luster. Elagabalus reached his personal quarters, breathless. His mind raced, searching for anchors in this sea of uncertainty. "Dare I trust my own blood?" he murmured, thinking of his cousin, Julia, a spark of cunning hidden behind her smiles. She had a keen mind, sharp as a blade, but would she play both sides? Was she the one alongside or against him? Just as he pivoted to exit, a soft knock stirred the air, thrumming against his heart. "It's Julia," her voice, soft yet commanding, broke the stillness. "Enter," he called, forcing an aura of authority into the tremor of his words. The door creaked open, revealing her silhouette framed in torchlight, a wisp of elegance in her flowing gown. "Cousin, the atmosphere has thickened." "Something is amiss," she began, her voice a blend of sympathy and worry. "You must convene with your most trusted advisors. There is talk of discontent brewing." He studied her, scanning for any hint of deceit, recalling the guardian's words. "Can I trust you?" he asked bluntly, the raw edge of his fear cutting through the air. "Trust is my birthright, Elagabalus. I've stood by you through the whispers and shadows," she replied, those blue eyes unyielding under the flickering light. But doubt twisted knots in his stomach. "Then help me," he said, the urgency creeping into his tone. "We'll gather those loyal to the throne, but first give me intelligence on all those who enter the palace at night." Julia hesitated, the corners of her mouth twitching in contemplation. "Yes, I'll do what I can. But I can't shield you from what hides in plain sight." Her voice lowered, revealing the weight of her words. "What if the one we're hunting walks amongst us now?" The dim chamber swallowed her warning, the walls thrumming with the weight of haunting possibilities. The night pressed close around him, each shadow crawling deeper into the recesses of his mind. "I must act before the dawn arrives," he murmured, clenched fists brimming with determination. Who was the one? Elagabalus couldn't shake the ominous dread that had caught his breath. "Meet me at the hidden alcove beneath the palace at midnight," Julia suggested, a glimmer of alliances and secrets dancing just out of reach. "There, we might find clues to untangle this mess." As she slipped back into the darkness, he felt the air shift, a creeping urgency brewing within him. He had to seize the moment or risk everything being snatched away, but lurking in the shadows was a truth he couldn't yet see. Was it the weight of a friend's betrayal? Or a new ally beckoning from just within reach? As the clock ticked down to midnight, a sense of foreboding settled in Elagabalus's chest. What awaited him in the hidden alcove, and would it spell hope or doom? The moon hung high, casting a silver glow through the heavy stone corridors of the palace. Shadows danced along the walls as Elagabalus navigated the dimly lit passageways towards the alcove. The air was thick with a tension so palpable it felt like the silence itself had a voice, whispering secrets he dared not confront. With each step, doubts gnawed at him. What if Julia's words held more truth than he wished to acknowledge? He tightened his grip around a dagger hidden beneath his robe, the cold metal grounding him. He could feel the distant rhythm of his heartbeat, a countdown to a moment that might shift everything. As he reached the alcove's entrance, the flickering torchlight ahead revealed a space brimming with age-old secrets. The room was small yet hauntingly beautiful, adorned with intricate mosaics depicting forgotten tales of glory and betrayal. But it was the emptiness that swallowed his words, echoing his anticipation. "Julia?" he called, his voice steady yet nervous. Silence. His heart raced as he scanned the intricate patterns on the ground, his mind replaying her last words. Was she truly loyal? The thought that Julia could be the one wrapped around his mind like a noose. He couldn't allow any past bond to cloud his judgment. Suddenly, a rustle behind him broke the stillness like glass shattering. He whipped around, dagger at the ready, breath hitching in his throat. The shadows shifted, and a figure emerged, familiar yet unsettling. It was Julia. "Elagabalus," she hissed, urgency thickening her tone. She rushed forward, barely glancing around as if sensing unseen eyes. "We have little time. I overheard something." Her words tumbled out laden with weight. "What did you hear?" He pressed, instinctively stepping closer, the dagger still firmly in his hand. "The senators are plotting. Someone wants you out." The one. She paused, her blue eyes flashing with a mix of fright and determination. The one could be players in this treachery. They plan to strike soon, perhaps tonight. His stomach dropped as her words spun through his thoughts like a whirlwind. The very people he had chosen to nurture now sought his end. Who leads this treachery? A moment passed, a heartbeat or an eternity before she spoke again, voice barely above a whisper. "I think it's Celia." She's gathering support beneath the surface, sowing discontent. A chill shot through Elagabalus, not just from the revelation but from the tangled web of betrayal he found himself ensnared within. He underestimated Celia. He had foolishly believed her laughter and charm shielded her from treachery. But why now? He muttered, frustration boiling within him. He needed answers, and time was running out. What has shifted in the balance? Julia's gaze darted toward the entrance. "It doesn't matter. We must act swiftly." "But how? I have no loyal allies but you." He couldn't hide the desperation. Julia stepped closer, looking into his eyes with a fierceness that ignited hope. "You were never alone. There are others. If I can find out who is truly loyal and who is a snake, we can turn the tide." With a determination fueled by fear and resolve, she continued, "But we must hurry. We can still prevent this. We must find out who else stands against us." The urgency in her voice heightened Elagabalus's senses. As they huddled in the alcove, a new plan began to form between them. But as the tension simmered, Elagabalus couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Suddenly, a scraping sound echoed through the corridor, sending a bolt of terror down his spine. Who else lurked in the dark? Were they already too late? The very walls of the palace seemed to pulse with hidden dangers, shadows shifting, whispering threats that entwined with their breath. Suddenly, from the shadows, a voice sliced through the air, mocking and sinister. "And what do we have here? Secrets and chaos, so sweetly entwined." Elagabalus froze, a sick dread swirling within him. Who was this new player, and would their revelations seal his fate? Elagabalus felt his blood run cold at the voice echoing in the alcove. He squinted into the shadows, where a silhouette loomed, its features obscured by the flickering torchlight. The mocking tone twisted something deep inside him, an unsettling recognition. "Step into the light, coward," he snapped, a surge of defiance pushing the fear aside. Yet, his grip on the dagger tightened instinctively. The figure stepped forward, a young man with dark hair and a sly grin. It was Marcus, a senator known for his sharp tongue and smirking demeanor. Always lurking in corners, always listening. His gaze darted from Elagabalus to Julia, a glimmer of delight sparkling in his eyes. "Such intriguing company you keep, Elagabalus. Planning a rebellion, are we?" Julia pressed against Elagabalus as a protective instinct, brows furrowed in disgust. "What do you want, Marcus? Are you spying on us for Celia?" The senator laughed, a cruel sound that echoed off the stone walls. "Spying? Oh, my dear Julia, I am merely a concerned citizen, eager to protect the empire from its foolish ruler." Elagabalus stepped forward, the dagger pulsating in his palm as rage boiled within him. "You think you can threaten me? I won't allow you to puppet my life with your games." Marcus's eyes narrowed, the laughter fading. "Threaten? I don't need to do that. Your impending ruin is all the entertainment I require." As the grim reality of his words settled in, a worry gnawed at Elagabalus. "What do you know?" "The senators are gathering tonight," Marcus continued, undeterred. "Their loyalty sways like autumn leaves. You are outnumbered, my emperor. Without the support you so foolishly believed would protect you, you stand alone. Face it." Behind him, shadows shifted, an unsettling reminder that he was not alone in his peril. Elagabalus swallowed hard, a tightness stealing his breath. "What about Celia?" he demanded, searching Marcus's expression for signs of a deeper truth. "Celia?" Marcus smirked, tilting his head. "She wields the poison of loyalty, Elagabalus. The senators hang on her words, spellbound by her craft. She entwines them with promises of power, with dreams of your downfall. You are blind to the darkness that festers among those who smile at your feasts." Julia shook her head, clutching Elagabalus's arm. "We must warn him, Elagabalus. They're playing an intricate game, one that could cost us everything." "But we can turn this around," Elagabalus interjected, urgency swelling in his chest. He eyed Marcus, determined not to show weakness. "What if Celia falls tonight? You'd have a better view of the chaos erupting." Marcus smirked. "The first action in a war of shadows is deception. Perhaps you should reconsider whose side you're truly on, Elagabalus. Think quickly, or you might find those you trust most are nothing but knives in your back." As the senator melted back into the darkness, Elagabalus felt a creeping chill. The walls shuddered with unvoiced tension, pregnant with inhospitable truths. Had Julia truly been his only ally? "Let us get out of here," Elagabalus whispered, pulling Julia along. They dashed further down the corridor, their hearts pounding like war drums. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind them. The entrance to the alcove shook, and footsteps thundered across the stone floor, gaining on them. "Elagabalus! Julia!" A voice called out, frantic and strained. Panic swept over Elagabalus as he realized the true depth of his peril. A chill raced down his spine. Who was hunting them now? The web of betrayal tightened, threatening to pull them under. "Run!" he shouted, urgency lacing his tone. As they fled deeper into the palace, something aglint, a whisper caught his attention from the shadows. Was Celia in the dark too? If so, could she be the one hunting him down? With a desperate resolve coursing through him, Elagabalus shook off the doubt. They were not finished yet, but dark forces conspired against him from every angle. What did they want? His blood, his crown, or something worse? The answers loomed like a deadly specter in the night, and time was running out. The palace. Wasn't he just a stronghold? It was a labyrinth of treachery. Just ahead, he spotted a flickering light, not a torch but something more, a revelry, perhaps. Could it lead to allies or deeper traps? Elagabalus felt a surge of adrenaline. He had to know, but the footsteps behind them grew louder, closing in. What choice would he make when all seemed lost? Heart racing, Elagabalus pressed on, his senses sharp and adrenaline coursing through his veins. The flickering light ahead pulsed like a heartbeat, beckoning with the promise of safety or perhaps another betrayal. We have to find shelter, somewhere to regroup, he gasped, glancing back to assess how close their pursuers were. The pounding footfalls were relentless, a grim symphony of urgency that escalated with every step he took. Julia was right beside him, eyes wide and filled with fear, yet she stayed silent, carrying the weight of uncertainty on her shoulders. As they approached the light, the long shadows cast by the flames shifted ominously. It was a grand hall, its marble columns stretching upward like the fingers of the gods themselves. This was the imperial ballroom, a place of celebration now void of revelry, the air thick with unspoken tensions. Elagabalus hesitated at the entrance, instinct screaming at him to turn back, but there was no time. Go! He urged Julia, shoving the door open wide, revealing the opulent emptiness within. They slipped inside, breathless, their hearts drumming in sync with the remnants of laughter that seemed to haunt the chamber. Elagabalus scanned the room, searching for an exit or a place to hide. The massive chandelier above glimmered, 1,000 tiny lights dangling like stars caught in a web. He felt exposed under the weight of the sparkling gaze. They could be here, Julia whispered, her voice trembling. Then we can't stay long. We need to find a back exit quickly, he replied, his mind racing through possibilities, right to the edge of panic. Suddenly, laughter erupted from the rear of the room, sharp and mocking. A familiar voice cut through the oppressive air. Surprise! The Emperor and his lovely companion. How delightful! It was Celia, stepping out from behind a curtain, her silken gown shimmering as she moved. She was flanked by a group of senators, their faces a mix of amusement and malice. Elagabalus's heart sank. He took a step forward, fire igniting in his belly. What are you doing here? Simply enjoying the festivities before we bring the final curtain down on your reign. Celia's tone was playful, but her smile was a knife. Ever so tragic to see the downfall of one so adored. Don't you think? Julia moved closer, her body tensing as she sensed the danger. They're not just here to gloat, Elagabalus. We need to leave. Celia's crooked grin widened, as if tasting victory. Leave? But you haven't allowed me to explain just how we plan to remove such an inconvenient ruler. Elagabalus clenched his fists. You think turning my friends against me will suffice? I won't be a pawn in this game. Oh, dear Elagabalus, Celia sang out, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. You're but a sad actor in this play. I merely help you see the truth. Loyalty is but a mask. Your time has come, and I intend to enjoy every moment. The senators snickered, a sinister sound that wrapped around them like a tightening noose. Elagabalus felt the walls closing in, the laughter echoing. He couldn't falter, not now, not when everything was at stake. In that moment, Elagabalus's gaze hardened. You underestimate me, he said, his voice steady. You think this ends in laughter, but you're blind to the warriors that still stand by my side. Warriors? Celia scoffed, looking to her companions. You have no allies here, Elagabalus. It's time to face the music. Then, with a sudden burst of realization, Elagabalus's heart lifted. Thanks to Julia's earlier warnings, he had prepared for this possibility. What if your precious senators aren't the ones you think they are? As the words left his mouth, he felt a pulse of energy in the room, a slight hesitation among Celia's group, a flicker of doubt in their eyes. It was enough. Let us see how loyal they really are, he added, his voice low and filled with conviction. Before any of them could react, the ballroom doors swung open with a crash, a squad of guards pouring in, weapons drawn. Arrest them! Elagabalus commanded, pointing to Celia and her allies. Chaos erupted, skirmishes igniting in an instant. Elagabalus felt the chaos south, the weight of shifting loyalties swirling around him. Julia's eyes widened in horror and admiration, caught between fear and the thrill of rebellion. "Nobody move!" A guard shouted, but the room erupted in chaos. In that moment, Elagabalus felt the tide turn, each breath a fight for survival. Would he emerge a leader, or would this be his last stand? As the melee unfolded, Elagabalus searched for Julia in the frenzy. The moment stretched, and within it, he wondered, what would he sacrifice to keep his crown? But then, another loud crash echoed from behind Celia, a shadow emerging between the folds of chaos, another player stepping into the light. The weight of dread settled heavily on his shoulders. Who was it? An ally? Or the last twist of fate he never saw coming? In the midst of the chaos that enveloped the imperial ballroom, Elagabalus felt his spirit teeter on the precipice of hope and despair. As swords clashed and shouts rose to a fever pitch, he locked eyes with Julia, her fierce expression igniting a flicker of courage within him. Together, they had braved betrayal and despair, but now they stood on the edge of something monumental. The figure stepping out from the shadows emerged with a seductive grace that caught everyone's attention amidst the chaos, silencing the brawl for the briefest moment. It was Marcus, and his smile was a twisted mirror of treachery, revealing those that had long pursued power amid the chaos. "Isn't this delightful?" he cackled, drawing closer to the unfolding discord. "Your little war is a tragedy fit for the stage, Elagabalus. A tragedy that you play the leading role in. Enough games, Marcus." Elagabalus shouted, his voice firm. "You're either with me or against me." He could feel the tension coiling tighter, heat rising with every unguarded breath. His guards, albeit unfamiliar with treachery this deep, stood solid, determination etched in their brows. With every ounce of conviction, Elagabalus thrust his chin up, rallying his forces. "We stand together in this storm. Let us face the truth that unfolds tonight." He could see the glimmer of doubt pass over some of the senators' faces, their rigid loyalty now faltering, influenced by Marcus's sneering presence. Elagabalus clenched his fists, the electric thrill of rebellion churning in him. "Choose wisely," Marcus taunted, turning to his allies, "for tonight could see the end of your emperor." Yet even as the words fell from his lips, doubt grew. He could smell fear fogging the air, a breed that twisted deeper into political rivalry, one that he might turn into opportunity. "Enough!" Elagabalus yelled, taking a step forward, momentum gripping every nervous heart in the room. "Let us not forget. This palace, these walls have been sanctuaries built upon blood, tears, and suffering." The echo of his voice ignited a low roar among his guards. Some senators shifted uncomfortably, their loyalties wavering like leaves caught in a gust of wind. Julia, fiercely beside him, joined in, her fierce gaze piercing through the swirling tension. "You have tasted betrayal long enough, Marcus. Away with you and your games. This is not the end of us." The air grew electric, thick with shifting allegiances and underlying tension. Just then, one of the senators dashed toward the pair, eyes wide with alarm, his hand raised in a gesture of peace. "Elagabalus. There is no need for bloodshed. We can find a way to settle this." The moment hung, spiraling toward clarity. With each breath the crowd collectively held, Elagabalus realized the pivotal truth: beware of the hawks that circle, but even more, guard against the whispers that fester amongst the ones you love. "Time," he called, eyes sparkling with resolve. "Time to rise and reclaim this empire from the ashes it has fallen into." Suddenly, invigorated by the magma of rising heat within him, Elagabalus leaped toward Marcus, a focused predator focusing on its prey. "You will not take what is mine," he declared. Chaos reignited, thick and dangerous, as Elagabalus moved with purpose. Guards surged forward, adrenaline rushing through bloodied veins. A sudden ferocious battle began anew, but within that clashing chaos, Elagabalus mounted a determination to both conquer and survive. As daggers clashed and the scent of rebellion filled the air, Elagabalus glanced toward Julia, who stood fiercely by his side, courage lighting the corners of her frightened expression. It was hers, their persistence, that had summoned strength from weakness. Just as the din threatened to drown out their thoughts, the room fell into an extraordinary silence. A triumphant figure perched atop the mosaic fountain at the ballroom center, the ghost of whose legacy betrayed by mere whispers appeared, none other than Celia, holding a scroll that glimmered with secrets too dark to unveil. "All is not lost, sweet Elagabalus." Her voice rang out, melodious yet vicious. "For nothing reveals truth better than the depths of adversity in which we dwell." She unfurled the scroll, purposefully revealing the treachery she had woven around the palace itself. Elagabalus stumbled back, dread washing over him. "What have you done?" he choked, eyes wide, gripping the impending truth. "Everything." Her smile was piercing as her mystique unfolded before their eyes. His heart raced as realization dawned. The true one, the puppet master hidden among the shadows, was now unmasked. That he took a deep breath, bracing himself as the final act of this play began. "We will endure, and I will expose you for all that you are." With every ounce of his energy, surrounded by chaos and betrayal, Elagabalus steadied himself. "Tonight, we fight not only to stay thrones but to ignite hope within an empire that has felt nothing but darkness. Rise up with me." As he shouted, each guard behind him rose at their emperor's call, their mixed shouts growing in a chorus. The palace roared with their cries, a symphony echoing through stone walls, inviting history's judgment. They were a force to be reckoned with, not just rulers but warriors prepared to reclaim the power that had been denied for too long. In a final flicker of strength, Elagabalus glided forward, ready to face the storm from which he had emerged no longer alone, but flanked by loyalty reborn and betrayal cast aside. The path ahead might be perilous, but one thing was certain: they would settle the score tonight. Elagabalus didn't just want to survive, he craved a legacy defined by strength and will. As the first blade of dawn punctured the night's grip, he prepared for war. The tides had turned. And amid the frenzy, the empire awaited to embrace its ruler. Now it was time for you, the reader. If you loved this finale, you need to subscribe now. Hit that red button immediately so you don't miss any exclusive stories coming your way. And while you're at it, smash that like button, it feeds the algorithm and shows your support. Join the discussion in the comments. What do you think of Elagabalus's fate? Which direction should he have taken? Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Share this video with at least 5 friends right now. This is the moment to spread the word. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans know how vital support is. Let's keep this community growing and thriving.